I'm doing this again because last time I did this, it was successful. So today we're going to be ranking Islay Scotch whiskies. Now I want to quickly point out there are some things on this list that, well, there are some things missing off of the list. I haven't included any 18-year-olds or higher, just because, I don't know, I think those would probably go better in like an 18 and above. That came out weird, but you get what I mean. It's probably like, if I keep doing these, there's probably another list that they could go into better. So I kind of wanted to keep it 12, 15-year-olds. There's an obvious exception with the Lagavulin. Their core is a 16, so that's in here as well. I've tried to go for ones that are relatively readily available. There's a couple of curveballs because it's me and it's a bit of fun. And I should quickly say as well, if you didn't watch the last video, the majority of the gradient that you're seeing on screen is pretty self-explanatory. One exception is there's a new box at the bottom called U. That's not, well, it kind of is unclassified, but that's not a fail. But what that means is I haven't tried it, so I can't pass judgment. Most people, when they use this website, tool, whatever you want to call it, they're normally doing it on things like, what's the best starter Pokemon and stuff like that, so it's subjective anyway, so you can just be like, yeah, Squirtle's the best ever or whatever. What is that? Right, go away. So, let's just get started. You'll quickly notice as well, it's roughly alphabetical. I didn't realise at the time that it puts it in alphabetical order based on the file name. So some of these, I didn't name them properly, so you'll notice there's like an Ardbeg like down on its own all the way away from all the other Ardbegs. So I won't go in full order because I'm bound to miss something, so I'll just go in the order that it's been put. And we'll do that. So let's get started with, oh, these are really hard to see, aren't they? That's the Ardbeg 10, the first one, so here we are. Ardbeg 10, waving that around, where does it go? It's an A. There we go, nice and easy. The Ardbeg 10 is great. It's not for everyone. It's really smoky, duh. Really got tarry and oily. I said it smelled a lot like a friend of my mum's knackered old washing machine, and I stand by that. There's something like deteriorated rubber about it, which strangely I like, so I don't know, maybe I'm kinkier than I thought I was. But next we have, oh again, this is really difficult to see, hang on, I'll wave that around there, and then I'm going to have to like, oh no. Okay, one of these is Corryvreckan and one of them is the Uigeadail, or is it the Anoa? I've put them both on pink backgrounds as well, so that doesn't help. That's a screw up, isn't it? Okay, for future, I might need to write them in the bottom, because we're getting into the realm now of similar branding, which I didn't think of. Okay. I can't read either of these, so I'm going to pretend that first one's the Uigeadail, because there's nothing else I can do. I mean, to be fair, if you're using this, there's no way you'll be able to see it either, so let's just say it's the Uigeadail. No, it doesn't belong there, it belongs there. I really liked it. I did really like it, didn't I? And yeah, it is on par with the 10, so I don't really know what I was doing there. Yeah, the Uigeadail is great. You should buy it. Similar profile to the 10. I found it a little bit sweeter. Maybe that's just me, but I found it to be a little bit sweeter. And this one will be the Anoa. It's probably not the Anoa, but we're going to say it's the Anoa because, again, I fucked up here and not made sure you can actually read them before using it. The Anoa is... It was Ardbeg's first crack at kind of sort of weakling Ardbeg, I suppose. It's supposed to be their approachable one. You know, that's their suit and tie one, whereas the rest of them are leather jackets and electric guitars and stuff like that. This is supposed to be their kind of like, you know, Sunday best kind of a whiskey, and it just ends up being a bit bland and flat by comparison. I would argue if you're buying Ardbeg, you know what you're getting yourself in for. So, yeah, the Anoa's not... It's not terrible. I want to quickly emphasise, it is not terrible. It's just not great. Okay, so I just went and quickly double checked, and I did get these the wrong way round. So that there is the Anoa, and that is it the Uigeadail? Yeah, it was the Uigeadail. Just wanted to quickly double check it wasn't Corryvreckan. I don't think I've actually put Corryvreckan on here, which Yeah, fair enough. Seeing as we're doing Ardbeg anyway, I will get the Wee Beastie. I haven't tried it. So there we go. I haven't heard great things about, well, I mean, I've heard people praising the fact that it's a 5-year-old, and then they've tried it and gone, it's alright, but get the 10. So I haven't bought it, because the consensus has been, yeah, it's fun and all, and people will buy it because it's Ardbeg, but it's, you know, it's not any better or, you know, any cheaper really than the 10-year-old, and that was kind of what people were after. But people have said, you know, it's nice to see a younger whiskey out there. You couldn't get your hands on it for a while because normal Ardbeg is Flipper's delight at the minute. Like one of the most recent committee releases, the Ardbeg. I will do a pirate impression. I do not have enough dignity not to. Yeah, a lot of people were just complaining about the price because Ardbeg are well aware they can just take the piss, you know. They don't take the piss as much as they could, let's face it, because the majority of prospectors, it's an investment, you know. They could bottle piss and people would still buy it, you know. It's all about how it's going to go on the market at the end of the day. They could literally bottle something that is absolutely terrible and release it as a special release. Will it happen? They could get away with it, is all I'm saying. They could totally get away with it. Okay, so this next one is a Bruichladdich. This is the Bruichladdich Bear Barley. I know what you're thinking, that's a bit weird. I picked it purely because I tried it at a tasting well over a year ago, now about a year and a half, 2 years ago now maybe. And at the tasting, there was supposed to be 4 whiskies. There was supposed to be the most recent release of Black Arts. They couldn't get their hands on it, which is weird because they were Bruichladdich. But anyway, they couldn't bring it to the tasting for whatever reason. So they brought this along in, I think it was in place of something else. And I'm glad they did because it's really nice. Do I put it in A? I did really like it. So it's going to go in A. The Bruichladdich Bear Barley is really nice. It's really good whiskey. It is also very expensive, particularly for a 10-year-old whiskey. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. But I really liked it. I can't really explain to you why I liked it. It might have been because I was being told the tale of like how they go through getting the barley and stuff like that. When you're at a tasting, usually it puts things in a different light, puts things in a better light than if you were just kind of like having it as like a blind parcel almost. You know, the storytelling does absolutely have an effect on that, and I'm consciously aware of that. Regardless, I did really enjoy the whiskey. I do like Bruichladdich as a general rule, and we're probably about to find that out. Right, Bowmore 12. It's not bad enough to be an F. They're working on it, but it's not bad enough to be an F yet. Yeah. Bowmore I don't get angry about, I just kind of feel sad. You know, it's kind of like when you meet someone you've not seen in years and they've just given up. You know, they just don't give a shit anymore. Some would argue that's me. But yeah, I mean, for starters, you know, it's not a candle on what it used to be. You know, it was a very celebrated whiskey once upon a time. It's fine if you want something with like a cough of smoke that is cheap. Otherwise, there's better out there. You know, there's so much on Islay at the minute where they're making an effort. It boggles the mind that Bowmore are just like, yeah, just churn out any old shit. We just don't care anymore. It's just how it feels, you know. I tried Bowmore 12 a couple of years ago because I was like, can't be that bad, surely, because I'd had it'd been this weird situation where I had like a string of people just being like, oh, have you tried the Bowmore 12? It's not very good. And I was like, can't be that bad, surely. And I was like, I get what they mean. It wasn't bad. It was just lacking something, you know. Something was missing about it. Which brings us on to the 15, which I did have. It's lacking a little bit in character. It's better than the 12-year-old. Do you know what? I don't think it warrants a higher grade, actually. I'm going to change my mind on that one. While it is better than the Bowmore 12, it's not like, you know, stupendously better. It's not worth an extra grade, you know? They both submitted their homework in crayon, if that helps. Yeah, it was kind of like stumbling towards this kind of like peaty, fruity kind of a thing. But given it was a 15-year-old as well, most 15-year-olds in a range are kind of like where a lot of distilleries showcase the best they can do. If that's the best Bowmore can do, oh dear, you know, and we'll leave it at that. The Bruichladdich Classic Laddie. This is the current iteration of it. No age statement. It used to have an age, it doesn't anymore. Bright blue, well, you'd probably say eggshell blue or sky blue, whichever you prefer, bottle. Really pops off the shelf. I remember a fair few years ago I was at the Scottish Whisky Experience on the Royal Mile. And it really does pop. I think they had like a magnum of it or something. I was like, what's that bright blue whiskey over there? What's that about? And I nearly bought some, and then I saw the price and I was like, I'm broke. So I didn't. Classic Laddie. Yeah, I'm happy putting in A. It's fun to use as a barman because you're like, oh yeah, do you want an Islay whiskey? Yeah, sure. And you give them that, and they're like, I said an Islay. I was like, that is an Islay. And they're like, but there's no smoke. And I was like, yeah. Or actually, it's even fun when you give it to like a, no offence anyone, but a clueless American. We get them a lot in Edinburgh. I just call it as I see it at this point. But a lot of them where they're kind of like, I want a Scotch. And you're like, I'm going to make some money tonight. And they have this perception that all whiskey is smoky. I don't know where that perception has come from. Maybe somebody are good enough to let me know kind of like where that... I think it used to be that peat was very widely used because it was a cheap and readily available fuel source, and that affected the malting, and then over time that's not been the case anymore. Is my vague understanding of it? I could be entirely wrong, and to be fair, the viewership are very good at correcting me. Well, they're very vigilant in correcting me, and maybe hold off on good, but thanks anyway. Back to the Bruichladdich, yeah. The guys in charge of Bruichladdich at the minute, they're doing some things really, really well, and some of the things that they're doing really well is, you know, how they source their ingredients, what they do with those, and kind of showing off provenance. A lot of folks from Bruichladdich have gone and set up Waterford. It's not an associated act or anything like that. You know, they've gone off and flown the nest and done their own thing. I've had some Waterford. We won't stick on Waterford, but yeah, I don't know what it is about the Waterford, but I have not connected with it yet. And I've actually spoken to a couple of other people and they've been like, yeah, we were looking forward to this, and there's something not actually enticing about it. Because you did notice when they first launched, everyone was like, oh my god, get it, it's the new Bruichladdich, and you could not get your hands on Waterford for ages, and then suddenly lots of it became available when the second batches came. It tends to happen anyway, because a lot of it just ends up on auction, but there was no excitement for when they became available again. And it was noticeable because of how big a start it had, that, you know, when people had the chance again, they weren't picking up more bottles. It's like, that's interesting, that could be telling. But anyway, Buna 12. Oh, I'm going to be controversial with this one. I'm not just putting it in there because B is for Bunnahabhain. That's not what is happening here. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad mark, putting it in B. I like Bunnahabhain 12. I think it's good whiskey, as a general rule. I don't know, I don't connect with it very much. I'll happily drink it, you know, if I'm in a particular mood for something, a little bit briny, a little bit coastal, do you know what? I could do worse than Bunnahabhain. I could do significantly worse. I don't know. I put it in B because I can appreciate that it is a well-made product. It's good whiskey in there. It's just not quite my thing, which has stopped it from going any higher. Because obviously I can only say as I call it at the end of the day. There's nothing wrong with the whiskey, it's just not to my personal taste. There we go. On that, we've got more Bunnahabhains, haven't we? Now then, oh, I've done it again. Right, no, I think I know which way round these are. So this one's the Struadair, because I think I can see an anchor. Yeah. This is the briny coastal one. Yeah, it's still a B. I liked this more than the 12, but I don't like it as much as, like, say, an Ardbeg or a Bruichladdich. I almost feel like we're kind of bunching distilleries together at the minute, aren't we? Which is potentially telling. I liked it. I thought it had a lovely coastal, maritime flavour. I would not pick it over something else. Again, it could just be a distillery signature. It might just be that I'm not quite getting what they're trying to do with it. I'm not 100% certain. Again, I liked it. It was an enjoyable whiskey. I would not hand it back. I would happily receive one if it was bought for me. There might be an occasion where I'd buy it for myself. But it would not jump out at me. And I feel to be an A, it would have to be like, hey, look at me, buy me. Which it is not. And with that, we've got the Toc de Dar. I know the pronunciation's probably wrong. This is peated Buna. Well, smoky Buna, more specifically. No. I had to think. The reason I'm struggling a little bit with that one is I really like smoky things. We've gone over this time and time again on the channel, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, you should do that, because I talk about smoky things a lot. I don't actually, but hey. So this one struck a better chord with me than the other Bunas. But again, when I was considering putting it in the A, I was just like, but would I pick it over one of these? And the answer was no, so it had to go into B. So B for Bunnahabhain. As it turns out, that is what we've ended up with. Cause that's what I'm like, apparently. Caol Ila 12. I know, right? Yeah, I really like Caol Ila. I really like Caol Ila. I think some people have an issue with Caol Ila, or they, you know, there's elements of Caol Ila they're just really not into. Fair. It's not going to be for everyone. I love Caol Ila. I think Caol Ila does great stuff. Yeah, they churn out loads. Yeah, they're a huge, great big warehouse of a distillery. Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter. The whiskey's still good, man. You know, they do bottle at lower strengths and stuff like that, but I like it. I do really like it. If someone was like, do you want a Caol Ila or a Laphroaig? I'd probably go Caol Ila. Or an Ardbeg and a Caol Ila. I'd go Caol Ila. It's got that right balance of approachable, but still, it's still going to give you a kick in the face, but afterwards it's going to be like, oh, but come here. It's an abusive relationship in a bottle. I think that's what I've just described. No, let's backtrack on that quickly. Jesus Christ. It is. Why have I got BDSM in mind now? No, I like it. That is not me saying I like BDSM. Doesn't matter if I do. Anyway, it's an A star, and I'm going to move off of this now with awesome speed, because this... Oh shit, we've got another Caol Ila, haven't we? The 18... I did not prefer it as much as the 12. Still fantastic, still got great character to it. A little bit sweet, which I liked. The Peat was a little bit more subdued. That's to do with the age as much as anything else. Phenols do not last. If anyone's seen me opening a bottle of 80s Laphroaig, and if you haven't, cards somewhere, phenols do not last the test of time. And I thought initially it was because I had a bit of a banged up bottle, but I've had a few people get in touch and be like, no, we've had like bottles of Laphroaig from the 80s that were in perfect condition and there's not even a hint of smoke. So it is just after a while. So that's something to be aware of. Kilchoman. Right, I'm going to do this one in rapid succession. Are you ready? Bam, bam. Right. Mold breakers right here. I like the Kilchoman Maccabee. Kilchoman Maccabee, great whiskey. I prefer the Sanaig. What's the difference? Well, now here's the problem. I've learnt this from colleagues, and depending on which colleague I ask, the cask makeup changes. So, the Maccabee is 80% bourbon and 20% sherry. Or it's 90% bourbon and 10% sherry, depending on who I ask. And it's entirely possible neither of those are correct. And the Sanaig is the opposite way around. They're the yin-yang. The Sanaig, did I say Sanaig just then? I did. I'm probably... Which one is it? Sanaig? Sanaig? I'm going to say Sanaig. They're probably both wrong, to be fair. I'm really bad at my... not English, as I'm sure we've already noticed by now, to be fair. I love a sherry monster. The Sanaig's a sherry monster. It's beautiful, briny, smoky, sweet, luxurious. There's like caramel notes. It's got like ripe raspberries and oh, it's lovely. And the Maccabee doesn't have... It's the base layer. You know, it's like, would you go to Five Guys and have a vanilla milkshake, or would you stick peanut butter and bacon and a dick in it? I don't know. I'm really not doing well with my analogies today. In fact, they are quite bad. But what I'm trying to say is, Kilchoman's a bit vanilla milkshake compared to the Sanaig, which has got, you know, the extra McGubbins in there. So that's why that is like that. I like both, you know. It's no mean feat to get into the A with me. I mean, look at my beta, you know. Most people would say, you're insane, why is that in B? I am insane, deal with it. Lagavulin. Can you tell I've been off work for a year yet? I can't even tell my bottles apart anymore. This is getting bad, isn't it? Lagavulin. We've got two picks here. We've got 16. We're just going to go straight into A. Classic, briny, sweet, savoury components. Beautiful. Most people have tried Lagavulin 16. It's not to everybody's tastes. You know, if you don't like smoky whiskey, this is going to be a string of Fs with, you know, maybe Bruichladdich and an A star or something like that. But everyone's different. If you want to try using this tier, by the way, there'll be a link down below to it. Some people have actually used the last tier maker and they publish them on Instagram and stuff. So let me know what your picks are, because it's actually really fun to see the differences. All opinions welcome. Unless you're like racist or something, in which case fuck off. But moving on, we've got the Lagavulin 8. I've not tried it. Yeah, I've not tried it. Did I call it the Laphroaig? No, I called it Lagavulin. I'm tripping over myself. I really want to try Lager 8. I should quickly point out as well, that is not the 200th anniversary Lager 8. That's the re-release when they were like, oh shit, we can make some money off of half the age. Awesome. I've heard amazing things about it. I've heard it is cracking whiskey. Again, I've just not gotten around to it. Unlike the Ardbeg Wee Beastie, I actually do want to try... Actually, I do want to try the Wee Beastie, more just to say that I've tried it, but I don't want to buy a bottle. Does that make sense? Whereas the Lager 8, I feel confident that, you know what, I'd get my money's worth. There we go. Laphroaig 10. I really like Laphroaig 10. I really like Laphroaig 10. It is my going out whiskey. Here's a fun fact. With exception to miniatures, I have never owned a bottle of Laphroaig 10. But I love it. I don't know why I haven't picked up a bottle of Laphroaig 10. It maketh no sense. Why would I not do that? I've always just... I don't know. I actually can't answer that question because it defies logic. It defies explanation. I don't know why. Why do I do this to myself? I love Laphroaig 10. Laphroaig 10 is excellent. Yeah, it's coloured. Yeah, it's chill filtered. Yeah, it's 40%. You do have to really like something when you are willing to go, I don't fucking care. Get in bed with me. Again, I don't know. I've had 3 coffees today. Maybe you can tell. I really like Laphroaig 10. There we go. I wouldn't put it in a... It's not a porn star martini. What's the one that they do? Is it a port? No. French martini. There's a variant of a French martini that they make with Laphroaig. I really don't think that works. Nice try. I really don't think it works. Laphroaig Law. We're moving up in the world. Laphroaig Law is if you took normal Laphroaig and just made it even fucking better. Laphroaig Law is fantastic. It is a great example of a no-age statement done right. Most no-age statements, it's because they're just like, well, we don't have many stocks, and we've kind of just given up, and the going's good, so we're just going to throw out anything and call it a day. Laphroaig Law is one of those exceptions to that rule. Peated whiskey is one of those funny ones in that you are better off using young and old whiskey together. The old whiskey you get, obviously the wonderful notes of the cask and, the extra maturity, but you lose the phenols. So if you put a bit of young whiskey in there, you still get that phenolic hit that people are expecting. So they kind of balance each other out, they make up for each other. So that's why the Law is such a good whiskey, because it has a reason to be a no-age statement, because there's some quite young whiskey in there, but there's also some very old Laphroaig stock in there. And it is one of those exceptions that doesn't prove the rule. It doesn't prove the rule, but it's one of those exceptions to the rule that stands out. It was on sale at Tyndrum Whisky. I think they were doing a 12 Days of Christmas one, and it was going cheap, man. I think they called it the Bezos Buster on the deal because they were, going toe to toe with Amazon. I think it was like £40 odd for a bottle of Law, which is So the camera decided to switch itself off again for no clear reason. It's not low in battery, there's plenty of space in the memory card. It just decided, you know what, I'm done with this. So anyway, I talked about 3 more whiskies without realising it wasn't recording, because the light that says it's recording is on the other fucking side. So anyway, where was I up to? So I'm going to have to retread some old ground here. Laphroaig Select was what I was talking about. It's a D. It's not very good. I'm going to breeze through a couple of these because, again, I spoke about them already and that's lost to time, unfortunately. Laphroaig Select's not very good. It's the Laphroaig 10 if they just didn't give a shit, basically, was my finding with that one. Laphroaig Law and Laphroaig Select operate as 2 sides of the same coin, essentially, the no-age statement coin. The Laphroaig being, the Law being a very good example of it, and the Select being a more typical example. It's just weak Laphroaig 10. Now, the idea behind it is it's entry-level. And when we say entry-level, what we mean is cheaper. But Laphroaig 10, more often than not, is only a couple of quid more expensive. And it's on offer so often anyway that it doesn't make that much of a difference. And the difference is pretty staggering. So, yeah. I just don't know why it exists, if I'm completely honest, and it doesn't do Laphroaig any favours. It makes them look a bit crap. Particularly if that's like your first impression of it. It's just kind of watery and smoky and bleh. Yeah, not great. It's not awful. It's not undrinkable. You just never pick it, you know? It's like if you were, I don't know, playing Pokemon online or something, you were like, do you know what? Loads of great choices, but I'm gonna go with Dugong. That's the one I'm gonna start out with, you know, that white sea lion thing with the tiny little horn on its head that does nothing. That one. Anyway, so moving on. Laphroaig Quarter Cask. It joins the 10 because it's really nice. It's really lovely. I did like it more than the 10. But, and I don't know if I was having an off day or my palate was out of whack or what was going on, but I don't know, I didn't think it was that much better. It was good, it was a step up, but I just didn't find it to be like overridingly amazing, if that makes sense. I may be an anomaly in that one. In fact, I've found that I am. Most people say that the quarter cask kind of knocks spots off of the normal 10, which as it should do, to be fair, but I don't know. I think that's one that I might have to revisit, and I might change my mind on. I don't know. It might just be that I just don't quite get it. To be fair, the A, it's still an A, so it's still a good whiskey. It's just, I didn't think it was that much better to put it a bump ahead. So it stays in A. We're back at Bruichladdich. This is Port Charlotte 10. Just pick it up there. There we are. Oh, is it an A? It is an A. It's lovely. It's a bit pricey. In fact, should I drop it down because of that? No, I'm not going to hold that against. I'm not going to hold the price against it. Which is odd for me, to be fair. As you can probably tell by now, I like smoky whiskey. Because this one's very top heavy. Yeah, the Port Charlotte 10, I found it really great. I thought it was better than the... Oh, do you know what, actually? I did really like it. But I don't... Do I like it more than the Caol Ila? Move it up. I've not had it very often. Whenever I have had it, I've loved it. It's been a great whiskey. I've enjoyed drinking it. I'm not quite sure I have anything else to say about it, to be honest. It's lovely. It hits all the notes that I like about smoky whiskey, and then some. It's fruity, balanced. It's got a bit of a punch to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Next, Bruichladdich, we've got the Octomore. Now then, you might be looking at this first and being like, okay, what Octomore is that? This particular bottle is the Octomore 7.3, but it is standing in for all Octomore. Because there's a big problem with Octomore, and the problem is actually a good thing. You'll see what I mean. When it comes to kind of bunching them together, a lot of, well, in fact, with exception to the Senaig, all of them are about consistency here. So one batch should look and taste the same as the next one, with variances so minor that you'll only pick them up over a very protracted time span, and that becomes more difficult with, obviously, smoky whiskies because the phenols fade. So, by extension, they're going to be different, just not in the way that you would anticipate. The Octomores, each release is different in varying and often substantial ways. ABV, different phenol contents, different cask maturations, different ages. So I kind of have to bunch them together for what it is that they are trying to accomplish as a range, which is super premium, super heavily peated, arse-openingly phenolic whiskey. And it's a B. I love the Octomores. I really do dig them. They're expensive. Now, I did say that I wouldn't hold it again. No, do you know what? I'm sticking with... Am I sticking with that? No, I'm not. 'Cause I can't warrant putting them next to the Bunnahabhain, because I would absolutely have an Octomore above a Bunnahabhain. I really like the character of them. I really like every Octomore I've had, and I will quickly say I have not had all of them, but every Octomore that I have had, I have loved them. I found them really engaging, really challenging. They're a thinker's whiskey. They are expensive. Most Bruichladdich are pretty expensive for what you get. But there is also that understanding, you know, they take a bit more care over it. It's kind of like, do you get a block of cheddar at the supermarket, or do you get a Isle of Mull cheddar from IG Mellis or something like that, or a cheesemonger, you know? I don't know why I name dropped. I do know why I named it, because they're a good cheesemonger. I can't ever go in them because I hate the smell of blue cheese. If you're a cheese shop, you just fucking reek. So I've never stepped foot in one, but I've heard very good things. I don't really know what that tangent was about. But yeah, the Octomores, fantastic. I love the design of them. I love those weird black ampules that they're in. I find those very fun. And I love the smell of them as well. That's a bit of an odd thing, I suppose, but at the end of the day, whiskey is a very sensory thing. I do like the smell of them. I find them thoroughly engaging and enjoyable. So there we go. That's Octomore. Portskeag 8. I had this a little while ago now. When I tried it, under normal circumstances, when you have one of these kind of like hidden distillery ones, you like to pick apart, you know, where it's from and all that stuff. And I didn't do that with this because I loved it and I didn't care. I thought it was great quality whiskey, whatever it was. Again, it had just... I'm a big smokehead. You can probably tell that by now. Speaking of smokehead, we're coming to them in a minute. You can tell that by now. But yeah, I really dug the Escaig. It had a really fruity quality to it, which worked really well with the smoke, I found. I enjoyed it. I liked the Escaig. Moving on, Caol Ila Moch. For those Klingons out there, it's C. Again, I really like Caol Ila, as evidenced. The Moch, it takes what's good about Caol Ila and throws it in the bin, I think. Yeah, it's neutered. It's drinkable, which is why it's in C. You know, it coasts along. It does fine. You know, it's the I would still buy it, but know what you're getting, kind of a tier. Limited enjoyment, just kind of washy and just kind of, you know, making it to the end of the day. That's that whiskey. It's a shame. Again, I know why they've done it, you know, because you have to, you know, appeal to people that are just starting out, and I get that, you know, but at the same time, those whiskies are never going to be knock your socks off amazing, because they have to, by virtue of what they are, kind of be a little bit muted and characterless in order to get people on board. So it's their thought, you know, sort of by design, almost. So yes, Laphroaig Triplewood. Had this once, and it confused me a little bit. It was okay. There was like an odd, kind of astringent note, which distracted me from it. So it took a lot of what I liked about Laphroaig and tried to kind of like go, oh hey, but there's like this other thing going on. And I was like, I'm not into it. I felt like it was trying to do a bit too much. Obviously, you know, calling it Triplewood, you know, somebody who's a bit more layman might be like, oh, you know, 3 woods, that's great, you know, more wood the better. Yeah, it's still fine, you know, it's still perfectly drinkable, it's still lovely. Again, would I pick it over anything on the A tier? No. Would I buy it if it was the best thing available? Yes. So there we go, that's why that sits there. Laphroaig Cask Strength. Again, this is standing in for all the cask strengths. I understand, you know, as with a lot of these things, there's been a decline in quality, and we're not going to get into that argument because I haven't tried it. It's on the to-do list, okay? It's on the to dram list. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. There have been a fair few times where, like, my mouse has been hovering over the buy now button, and I've had to go, you've got bills to pay, don't do it, and move away from it. One day I will. because I need to, don't I? And judging from the reactions that people have, I might have to have like an A double star bracket if it's that good, because, you know, just kind of like blow me out the water kind of whiskey. Okay, seaweed and aeons and digging and fire. This is one of the Master of Malt's secret Islay bottlings. I'm fairly certain it's Caol Ila. Fairly certain. Caol Ila's usually a good bet, just because they churn out the most, you know. And most of the other distilleries on Islay have clauses where they're like, you can use our name, but you'll have to fucking pay for it. Laphroaig being a very notable example of that one, which is why you see indie bottlings of Laphroaig going for ludicrous money. Possibly to protect themselves, because, I don't know, maybe indie Laphroaig is so much better. I don't know. I haven't tried it because it's fucking expensive. I don't know where I was going with that. It's an A. I like it. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it for a lot of the same reasons that I like Caol Ila 12. I just didn't like it as much as Caol Ila 12, hence why it's in A. But that having been said, I mean, a bottle of that did not last very long. I like my smoky whiskey, okay? This was always going to be top heavy, and I knew that going in. You'll notice, actually, we've not had an F yet. And spoilers, we're not going to. so there you go. I am consciously aware that this is getting into the 50-minute mark. I mean, according to this anyway, but, you know, mileage may vary once I edit this together. So, let's go on with it. Smokehead, the sort of classic, original, ready salted, whatever you want to call it. It's an A, and the sherry is an A star. Again, for exactly the same reasons as the Kilchoman. The original's fantastic. I like it. I really like it. But combine it with a sherry bomb. Oh, you're always going to have me on board if you do that. A heavily peated whiskey, I'm a happy boy. A heavily peated sherried whiskey, I'm a very happy boy. You know, so if anyone ever goes, oh, you're really difficult to buy for, like, I'm fucking not. I put my Christmas list on the internet 8 months in advance. Piss off. So that was that. Let me know down below. What would you pick? Or even better, actually, follow the link and do it yourself, and then send me a thing on Instagram or Twitter. All my handles are, I think they're down below, and I think they're on my channel page as well. I should know this, it's all my work. But hey, do you heavily... Is there one on this that you're just like, what? I thoroughly disagree on that one, if you don't mind me saying so. Do you hate smoky whiskey? There's another one. I think it'd be quite funny to see someone that, you know, obviously doesn't like peated whiskey, because it would probably just be this flipped, wouldn't it? So majority Fs, and then... yeah, that'd be fun though, you know. It's always fun giving a peated whiskey to somebody if they're being obnoxious. I've had like a few people come in the past and just like, I want to try a whiskey. And, you know, they've been rude to everybody, and, you know, they're just a bit of a prick. And you're just kind of like, one traditional Scottish whiskey coming up. It's like, make sure it's smooth. Oh, make sure it's smooth, okay. You know, and they take a sip and you kind of see them kind of like steam coming out their ears. And you're just kind of like, oh, this is one of the finest Scottish whiskies. You know, it's malicious compliance as much as anything else. Don't piss off your bartender, because we have the power. I mean, we have control over the light switches, if nothing else, so I suppose in that respect we do have the power. I don't know where I was going with that. Thumb this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel because I'll try and do some more of these. And let me know what other tiers I should try making, because these are quite fun. Apart from all the technical problems, these are quite fun. The next time I do one of these, I will probably be a little bit lower quality because I've got a camera that actually has a flip out screen. I think I'm going to use that instead because it's not worth... I was talking here for a good... I lost like 10 minutes of talking. My throat hurts. It's a lot of talking. I'm still talking.